There's a law governing your reality that you've been unknowingly breaking every single day of your life. And it's the reason why your deepest desires remain just out of reach, why your manifestations collapse before they can take root, and why you feel like you're swimming against an invisible current that grows stronger with every stroke you take. This isn't the law of attraction as you've been taught it. This isn't about positive thinking or vision boards or repeating affirmations until your throat goes dry. This is about something far more fundamental, something that operates beneath the surface of your conscious awareness, like the gravitational pull that keeps planets in their orbits, invisible yet absolutely governing every movement in the cosmic dance of creation. The law I'm speaking of is the law of embodied frequency. And right now, at this very moment, you are speaking out against it with every thought that contradicts what you claim to want, with every emotion that vibrates at the frequency of lack while you declare abundance, with every action that betrays the reality you're trying to call into existence. You see, the quantum field doesn't listen to your words. It doesn't care about your intentions, and it certainly doesn't respond to your desperate attempts to manipulate it through force or repetition. The quantum field responds to one thing and one thing alone: the frequency you are embodying, the vibrational signature that emanates from the deepest layers of your being, the authentic energetic broadcast that streams from you, whether you're aware of it or not. Most people spend their entire lives trying to override this law, fighting against their own natural frequency, like a radio trying to tune into a station while broadcasting static at full volume. They visualize abundance while their nervous system is locked in survival mode. They affirm love while their heart is armored with the wounds of past betrayals. They declare success while their subconscious mind runs programs of unworthiness that were installed decades ago by voices they can barely remember. And then they wonder why the universe seems deaf to their prayers, why their manifestations feel like trying to catch smoke with their bare hands, why the gap between what they want and what they experience grows wider with each passing year. But here's what changes everything. The moment you stop speaking out against this law, the moment you align your inner frequency with your outer desires, the moment you become a walking embodiment of the reality you wish to experience, that's when the quantum field stops resisting you and starts conspiring with you. That's when synchronicities multiply like wildflowers after rain, when opportunities appear as if summoned by invisible hands, when the right people show up at precisely the right moment with exactly what you need to hear. This isn't magic. This isn't wishful thinking. This is the natural response of a field that has been waiting for you to stop fighting it and start flowing with it. The truth is, you've been approaching manifestation backwards, trying to create from the outside in, instead of allowing creation to flow from the inside out. You've been attempting to change your circumstances while maintaining the same internal frequency that created those circumstances in the first place. It's like trying to change the reflection in a mirror by touching the glass, instead of changing what's standing in front of it. The mirror can only reflect what is present, and the quantum field can only respond to the frequency you are genuinely broadcasting, not the frequency you think you should be broadcasting, or the frequency you wish you were broadcasting. Every time you catch yourself worrying about money while affirming abundance, you are speaking out against the law. Every time you visualize your ideal relationship while carrying the energy of loneliness in your heart, you are speaking out against the law. Every time you declare yourself worthy while treating yourself with neglect or criticism, you are speaking out against the law. This isn't about judgment or blame. This is about recognition, about seeing the unconscious patterns that have been running your life from behind the scenes, like a computer program that executes its code whether you understand it or not. The quantum field operates on a principle that most people never grasp. It mirrors your internal state with perfect precision, reflecting back to you not what you want, not what you say, not what you do, but what you are. And what you are is not determined by your conscious mind. It's determined by the sum total of your beliefs, emotions, memories, and nervous system patterns that create your unique energetic signature. This signature is broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, sending out a constant stream of information to the field that surrounds you. And the field responds to this information with the mathematical precision of a quantum computer processing data. When you understand this, when you really let this truth penetrate the layers of conditioning that have taught you to seek change through external manipulation, something profound shifts in how you approach the creation of your reality. You stop trying to force outcomes and start focusing on embodying the frequency of those outcomes. You stop asking the universe to give you what you want and start becoming the type of person who naturally receives what you want. You stop practicing manifestation and start living it, breathing it, becoming it until there's no separation between who you are and what you desire to experience. But here's where most people get trapped in a loop of frustration. They try to change their frequency through mental effort alone, attempting to think their way into a new vibration, like trying to lift yourself off the ground by pulling on your own bootstraps. Frequency isn't changed through thinking. It's changed through feeling, through breathing, through moving, through embodying the energy you wish to transmit. It's changed through healing the wounds that keep you locked in patterns of fear and lack, through releasing the grip of old stories that no longer serve you, through allowing your nervous system to remember what safety feels like, what abundance feels like, what love feels like in your bones. This is where the real work begins, not in your mind, but in your body, not in your thoughts, but in your cells, not in your intentions, but in your integration, because the body keeps the score of every experience you've ever had, every trauma you've survived, every moment of joy you've tasted, and it's the body that broadcasts your frequency to the field. Your nervous system is your manifestation antenna, and if that antenna is tuned to the frequency of survival, of protection, of scarcity, then that's the signal you're sending out, regardless of what your conscious mind is trying to create. I want to pause here for a moment and speak directly to your heart, because if you've made it this far in this video, if these words are stirring something inside you that feels like recognition, like coming home to a truth you've always known but never had words for, then you're part of a community that understands that transformation isn't just about changing your circumstances, it's about changing who you are. And if that resonates with you, if you feel called to dive deeper into these mysteries, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, not because I need the numbers, but because this space is designed to hold you as you navigate the sometimes challenging, always beautiful journey of remembering who you really are. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Share with me one area of your life where you feel you might be speaking out against this law, where your internal frequency doesn't match what you're trying to create. There's no judgment here, only understanding, only the recognition that we're all learning to tune our instruments in the grand orchestra of existence. Now let's dive deeper into the mechanics of how this law operates, because understanding the science behind sacred alignment transforms mystical concepts into practical wisdom that you can apply immediately. When neuroscientists hook electrodes to the brain and heart simultaneously, they discover something remarkable. The heart actually sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. Your heart has its own neural network, a sophisticated intelligence that's constantly communicating with your brain. And when these two organs synchronize their rhythms, when they achieve what researchers call coherence, your entire electromagnetic field shifts into a state of organized power. This coherent state isn't just a nice feeling. It's a measurable phenomenon that extends far beyond the boundaries of your physical body. The Institute of Heart Math has documented that when you achieve heart-brain coherence, your electromagnetic field can be detected up to 8 feet away from your body, and this field carries information. It carries the frequency of your internal state, and it influences everything within its range. Other people feel it, animals respond to it, and according to quantum field theory, the field itself reorganizes around it. But here's what's truly extraordinary. This coherent electromagnetic field doesn't just influence your immediate environment. It appears to interact with what quantum physicists call the zero-point field, the underlying energy matrix that connects all things. When you achieve sustained coherence, when your heart and brain are synchronized, when your nervous system is calm and your energy is clear, you become a transmitter of organized information into the very fabric of reality itself. You're not just thinking about what you want. You're broadcasting it at the quantum level with the power of your entire bioelectrical system. This is why meditation masters throughout history have emphasized the importance of inner peace. Why spiritual traditions speak of becoming empty so that the divine can fill you. Why indigenous shamans understand that healing happens when the person returns to their natural frequency. They weren't speaking metaphorically. They were describing a literal process by which consciousness interacts with the quantum field through the medium of coherent electromagnetic energy. Your thoughts become things not because you think them hard enough, but because your thoughts, when aligned with your heart's wisdom and your body's knowing, create a coherent signal that the field can receive and respond to. The problem is that most of us live in a state of incoherence most of the time. Our minds are racing with worry, while our hearts are trying to whisper wisdom. Our bodies are tense with stress, while our spirits are yearning for expansion. Our conscious desires are pulling in one direction, while our subconscious fears are pulling in another. This creates what engineers would call interference patterns, where the signals cancel each other out instead of amplifying each other, where the message becomes garbled in transmission, where the field receives mixed information and responds with mixed results. Breaking free from this pattern requires what I call sacred rebellion, the courage to speak out against the internal chaos that has become normal, the willingness to prioritize coherence over comfort, alignment over achievement, being overdoing. It means learning to slow down long enough to feel what's actually happening in your body, to listen to what your heart is really saying beneath the noise of your fears, to recognize when you're operating from your wounded patterns versus your wholeness patterns. The most radical act you can perform in a world obsessed with external manipulation is to turn your attention inward and begin the quiet revolution of aligning your frequency with your intentions. This isn't passive. This isn't spiritual bypassing. This isn't pretending that action doesn't matter. This is the most potent form of action available to human beings, the conscious cultivation of the internal state that naturally generates the external results you seek. When you truly understand that you are not separate from the field you're trying to influence, when you grasp that your consciousness and the quantum matrix are intimately entangled, when you realize that changing your frequency literally changes the probability patterns of your future, then manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. You stop efforting and start allowing. You stop chasing and start magnetizing. You stop asking and start embodying. You become a walking invitation for the reality you wish to experience. But this process requires what I call quantum courage, the willingness to feel everything that you've been avoiding, to face the shadow patterns that have been running your life from the unconscious, to heal the wounds that keep you vibrating at frequencies you've outgrown. Because you cannot fake coherence, you cannot pretend your way to authentic alignment. You cannot manifest from a place of hidden brokenness and expect wholeness to appear. The field sees through every mask, every performance, every attempt to override your authentic frequency with spiritual techniques or positive thinking. The healing process is itself a manifestation process, because every wound you heal, every fear you release, every limitation you dissolve removes static from your signal and allows your natural frequency to shine through more clearly. When you heal your relationship with money, abundance begins to flow not because you deserve it now, but because you're no longer broadcasting the frequency of lack. When you heal your heart from past betrayals, love appears not because you've earned it, but because you're no longer transmitting the energy of protection and fear. When you heal your sense of self-worth, opportunities multiply not because you're more qualified, but because you're finally broadcasting the frequency of someone who expects to be received and celebrated. This is the great secret that the manifestation industry doesn't want you to know. Healing is manifesting, and manifesting is healing. They are not separate processes. They are two sides of the same coin, two faces of the same truth. Every moment of authentic self-acceptance raises your frequency. Every act of genuine self-love increases your magnetism. Every choice to honor your truth, instead of performing what you think others want to see, makes you more attractive to the reality that's been waiting for you to stop hiding and start shining. The quantum field doesn't respond to your worthiness, because worthiness is a human concept that doesn't exist at the level of energy. The field responds to your frequency, and your frequency is determined not by whether you deserve something, but by whether you embody it. This is why children are such powerful manifestors until they learn to doubt themselves. This is why indigenous peoples who maintain their connection to the natural world often seem to live in synchronicity with forces that urban dwellers have forgotten. This is why mystics throughout history have been able to perform what others call miracles, simply by aligning their consciousness with the deeper currents of existence. I want to pause here again and speak to those of you who are feeling the stirring of something ancient and familiar as you listen to these words. If you're recognizing yourself in this description, if you're feeling called to step out of the old paradigm of effortful manifestation and into the flow of embodied creation, then this community is for you. Please consider subscribing, not just to this channel, but to this way of being, this commitment to inner alignment as the foundation for outer transformation. And I'm genuinely curious about your journey, about the moments in your life when you've touched this frequency of natural manifestation, when synchronicity felt normal, when you knew without knowing how you knew that you were exactly where you needed to be. Share those moments in the comments, because your stories inspire others to remember their own connection to this intelligence that flows through all things. What I'm about to share with you will challenge everything you've been taught about how change happens, about how reality works, about how powerful you really are. For the past century, we've been conditioned to believe that we are separate beings in a random universe, that consciousness is a byproduct of brain chemistry, that we must fight and struggle and manipulate our way to whatever success we can manage to grab before time runs out. But quantum physics is revealing a very different picture, one that ancient wisdom traditions have known for millennia. Consciousness is fundamental. Separation is an illusion. And we are all connected through an invisible web of intelligence that responds to our deepest authentic nature. When you align with this truth, when you stop speaking out against the law of embodied frequency and start flowing with it, you don't just manifest better circumstances, you remember who you really are. You remember that you are not a small self trying to get things from a big universe. You are the universe expressing itself through the unique lens of your individual consciousness. You are not separate from the creative force. You are the creative force taking form as a human being, having a temporary experience of individuality within an infinite field of potential. This remembering changes everything about how you approach the creation of your reality. Instead of trying to manipulate external circumstances, you focus on expressing your authentic nature more fully. Instead of chasing outcomes, you become the person for whom those outcomes are inevitable. Instead of demanding that life conform to your will, you align your will with the deeper intelligence that orchestrates the dance of galaxies and guides the migration of birds and knows exactly how to turn a single seed into a mighty oak without any conscious effort or planning. The mystics call this surrender, but it's not passive resignation, it's active alignment. It's the recognition that there is a current of creative intelligence flowing through existence, and when you stop swimming against it and start swimming with it, you move faster and with less effort than you ever imagined possible. You don't lose your power, you connect to a source of power that makes your individual efforts look like trying to light up a city with a single candle. This alignment happens not through thinking, but through being. Not through doing, but through becoming. Not through having, but through embodying. When you become love, love surrounds you. When you become abundance, abundance flows to you. When you become peace, peaceful circumstances arrange themselves around you. When you become joy, joyful experiences seek you out like flowers turning toward the sun. This isn't philosophy, this is physics. The physics of consciousness interacting with the quantum field through the medium of frequency and vibration. But this process requires what I call sacred patience. The willingness to trust the intelligence of the field, even when your mind can't see how things will work out, even when external circumstances seem to contradict your internal knowing, even when well-meaning friends and family tell you you're being unrealistic or impractical. Sacred patience is the ability to hold your frequency steady while the field reorganizes itself around your new vibration. Understanding that there's often a delay between internal shifts and external reflection, like the time it takes for light from a distant star to reach your eyes. The most profound miracles happen not in dramatic moments of peak experience, but in the quiet consistency of ordinary alignment, in the accumulated power of choosing your authentic frequency moment by moment, day by day, until it becomes so natural that you forget you're even doing it. This is how masters live, not in constant ecstasy or supernatural phenomena, but in such deep harmony with the natural order that extraordinary results become ordinary expressions of their way of being. When you live from this place of alignment, people often ask what technique you're using, what secret method you've discovered, what special knowledge you possess that allows you to create such beautiful results with apparent ease. But there is no technique. There is no method, there is no secret except the willingness to be yourself so completely that the field has no choice but to reflect that authenticity back to you in forms that match your frequency. You become a magnet, not through manipulation, but through authenticity, not through force, but through flow, not through effort, but through embodiment. This is why the greatest teachers throughout history have emphasized character over charisma, being over having, wisdom over information. They understood that lasting transformation happens from the inside out. That true power comes from alignment with natural law rather than attempts to override it. That miracles are simply the normal response of a loving universe to a consciousness that has remembered its true nature and stopped fighting against its own good. The quantum field is not neutral. It's not random. It's not indifferent to your well-being. The field is inherently creative, inherently intelligent, inherently biased toward expansion and evolution, and the expression of greater beauty, love, and truth. When you align with this bias, when you stop resisting the current of evolution that flows through you, when you allow yourself to be lifted by the same force that grows flowers and spins planets and transforms caterpillars into butterflies, you discover that manifestation was never about getting the universe to give you what you want. It was always about remembering that you are the universe expressing what it wants through you. This remembering is both the simplest and the most challenging thing you will ever do. Simple because it requires no technique, no training, no special knowledge or ability beyond what you already possess. Challenging because it requires you to release every identity, every story, every limitation that you've used to explain why you can't have what you want, why you don't deserve what you desire, why your dreams are unrealistic or impossible or meant for someone else. The law of embodied frequency is not a rule imposed from outside. It's a description of how consciousness works, how energy moves, how love expresses itself through form. When you align with this law instead of speaking out against it, you don't lose your individuality. You discover your true individuality beyond the masks and roles and performances that have been hiding your authentic nature. You don't become less human. You become more human, more alive, more connected to the source of creativity that birthed the stars and dreams through your dreams and loves through your love. And in this alignment, in this remembering, in this return to your natural frequency, you discover that you were never broken, never lacking, never separate from the abundance that surrounds you in every moment. You were simply broadcasting a frequency that didn't match what you wanted to receive, speaking out against a law that was designed to serve you, fighting against a current that was always flowing toward your highest good. The moment you stop fighting and start flowing, everything changes, not because you've become someone new, but because you've finally become who you've always been beneath the layers of conditioning that convinced you otherwise. Now that you understand the fundamental principle of embodied frequency, let's explore the practical integration of this sacred technology into your daily life, because knowing truth intellectually is different from living truth experientially. And the gap between understanding and embodiment is where most people get lost in endless loops of study without transformation, theory without application, inspiration without integration. The human nervous system is the most sophisticated quantum computer on Earth, capable of processing billions of bits of information per second, constantly scanning the environment for patterns, threats, and opportunities, and broadcasting its findings as electromagnetic signals that extend far beyond the boundaries of your physical body. This system evolved over millions of years to keep you alive in dangerous environments, which means it's biased toward detecting problems, anticipating threats, and preparing for worst-case scenarios. In modern life, this survival programming often works against manifestation because a nervous system locked in protection mode broadcasts fear, lack, and limitation, regardless of what your conscious mind is trying to create. Reprogramming this ancient system requires patience, consistency, and deep compassion for the part of you that learned to expect danger around every corner. You cannot bully your nervous system into coherence. You cannot force it to relax through willpower alone. You cannot override millions of years of evolutionary programming with a few weeks of positive thinking. But you can gradually train it to recognize safety, to remember what peace feels like, to trust that expansion is possible without catastrophe following close behind. This training happens through what I call micro-coherences, tiny moments throughout the day when you consciously choose to breathe deeply, to soften your body, to return to the present moment instead of living in the projected fears of an imagined future or the unresolved traumas of a remembered past. Each time you make this choice, each time you guide your nervous system back to safety and presence, you're literally rewiring neural pathways, creating new patterns of response, building a foundation of coherence that becomes stronger and more stable with repetition. The beautiful thing about this process is that it's cumulative. Every moment of peace contributes to your baseline frequency. Every breath of conscious relaxation adds to your electromagnetic stability. Every choice to respond from love instead of fear incrementally shifts your vibrational signature. Over time, these micro-coherences compound like interest in a savings account until your natural state is one of calm alertness, open receptivity, and confident expectancy that life is fundamentally safe and supportive. But integration goes deeper than nervous system regulation. It extends into the realm of cellular memory, because every cell in your body carries information about every experience you've ever had, and this cellular memory is constantly broadcasting its contents into the quantum field. Trauma isn't just stored in your mind, it's stored in your tissues, your organs, your bones, and until this cellular information is updated, until your body learns that it's safe to expect good things, your manifestation efforts will be undermined by signals you're not even consciously aware you're sending. This is where somatic practices become essential, where movement, breathwork, and conscious embodiment transform from nice additions to your spiritual practice into fundamental requirements for authentic alignment. When you move your body with awareness, when you breathe with intention, when you consciously inhabit your physical form instead of living from your neck up, you begin to communicate directly with the cellular intelligence that has been running your life from the background, updating its programming, healing its wounds, and aligning its broadcast with your conscious intentions. What emerges from sustained practice of embodied frequency is a form of influence that operates completely outside the normal paradigms of persuasion, manipulation, or control. You begin to affect reality not through what you say or do, but through what you are. Not through your actions, but through your presence. Not through your efforts, but through your essence. This is the secret power that mystics have wielded throughout history. The ability to change circumstances simply by changing their internal state, to heal others by healing themselves, to create peace in the world by embodying peace within themselves. This invisible influence works because consciousness is not localized to individual brains, as materialist science assumes, but is a field phenomenon that connects all minds, all hearts, all beings through an underlying matrix of intelligence. When you shift your frequency, you don't just change your personal reality, you contribute to a shift in the collective field that everyone draws from. When you heal a pattern within yourself, you make it easier for others to heal that same pattern. When you embody a higher frequency, you literally make that frequency more available to everyone in your environment. This is why Gandhi could say, "Be the change you wish to see in the world," and why Mother Teresa could insist that the way to world peace is through inner peace, and why every spiritual tradition emphasizes personal transformation as the foundation for collective healing. They understood that consciousness is collective, that we're all connected through invisible threads of influence, that changing yourself is the most powerful way to change the world, because there is no real separation between self and world, only the illusion of separation created by the limited perspective of individual awareness. The mastery of this invisible influence requires what ancient traditions called dying before death. The willingness to let go of every identity, every story, every limitation that keeps you broadcasting old frequencies. It requires the courage to become nobody so that you can become anybody, to release your grip on who you think you are so that you can discover who you really are, to surrender your small will to the infinite will that dreams through you when you get out of the way. This surrender is not passive, it's the most active thing you can do, because it requires constant vigilance, constant choice, constant recommitment to alignment in the face of all the forces that would pull you back into old patterns, old frequencies, old ways of being that no longer serve your highest good. Every moment presents the opportunity to choose love over fear, trust over control, expansion over contraction, and each choice either reinforces your old frequency or strengthens your new one. The beautiful paradox is that the more you surrender your personal will to this higher intelligence, the more powerful you become in manifesting your deepest desires. Not because you're getting what you want through force or manipulation, but because your wants gradually align with what the universe wants to express through you. Your personal will becomes an instrument of cosmic will. Your individual desires become expressions of universal love. Your manifestations become gifts, not just to yourself, but to everyone whose life you touch. This is the ultimate rebellion against the law of embodied frequency, the refusal to broadcast anything less than your highest potential, the commitment to be a clear channel for the infinite creativity that seeks expression through every human heart. When you live from this place, when you embody this frequency, when you become this signal, you don't just create the life you've always wanted, you become the life you've always wanted. And in becoming it, you make it available to everyone who encounters your energy. The question that remains is not whether you have the power to transform your reality through embodied frequency, because that power is your birthright, woven into the very fabric of your being. The question is whether you're ready to stop speaking out against the law that governs all creation and start flowing with it. Whether you're willing to trade the familiar discomfort of resistance for the unknown territory of alignment. Whether you have the courage to become who you really are beneath all the stories that have convinced you otherwise. Your frequency is your vote in the democracy of creation. Your vibrational signature is your contribution to the collective dream of humanity. Your embodied state is your gift to the world. Choose consciously, embody authentically, broadcast love, and watch as reality reorganizes itself around the truth of who you really are. The field is waiting, the universe is listening, and your highest self is ready to emerge. The only question is, are you ready to let it?